So like I said in the description, the claim is basically that if you have a meta deck and you're playing best of one, if you replace the supposed 2-drop, probably any card, right? But let's say you replace the supposed 2-drop that's meant for that deck with something else, then suddenly you're not going to see that card that you replaced it with as often as the 2-drop that's meant to be for that deck. So it's basically a claim that's saying that the best of one shuffler somehow favors uh, the early drops of meta decks. Right. So sort of it's basically like in a nutshell saying that if you're playing a meta deck, the shuffler will like you better. Of course, we know that that's probably not true, but then it's easy to test. It's easy to test, and we can do that here with this is clearly one of the meta decks, right? One of the contenders in the current standard. This is of course Sultai Ultimatum, and nearly every Sultai Ultimatum deck is going to run 4 Wolf Willow Havens, right? So it's going to run 4 Wolf Willow Havens. It's probably your best turn 2 play also, right? Uh, Wolf Willow Haven on turn 2 is your best turn 2 play, except maybe in the mirror and you're going on the draw and your opponent also played Wolf Willow Haven. And then in that situation, I would suggest not playing your own Wolf Willow Haven so that it doesn't get Binding of the Old Gods. That's something that I do in the mirror in that situation. Anyway, so what we're going to do is we're going to play some games in best of one and see how often Wolf Willow Haven comes up. We're going to play 20 games. We're going to play 20 games. We're not going to finish the games. We're just going to look at the opening hand, take note of whether or not at least one Wolf Willow Haven is there, and then move on to the next game. Now, take note that the actual probability of getting at least one Wolf Willow Havens in your opening hand is about 40%. So it's not uncommon. It's going to happen actually fairly often. So it's going to happen about 40% of the time. So we do expect that we will get this occurrence about 40% of the time we play 20 games. Okay, now what we're going to do afterwards is we're going to change Wolf Willow Haven to something completely different, something completely useless for a Sultai Ultimatum deck. And then let's play another 20 games and let's see how often that new card that we replace it with comes up. All right. Okay, and of course we're not here to prove that one will come up like more often than the other, because this is random. It's very possible for one to come up a bit more often than the other, but the average time that either of these are going to come up should be the same. Should be around the same. Okay, so we shouldn't. So basically, what we want. So if we want to prove the claim, then it must be the case that when we try Wolf Willow Haven, it's going to come up 40% of the time, and then suddenly when we change it to something else, maybe it's going to come up 20% of the time or 10% of the time, which is clearly very different from what we expect. All right. Okay, so without further ado, let's do this. I'm fine with doing this. I just got to Diamond today, so I really don't mind conceding in the interest of science. So we go standard rank. This is my best of one Winota deck. Where is my Sultai? This is best of one standard. I should still see my Sultai. Did they change? Hey, yeah. Tomorrow is the qualifiers, right, for the tournament. We're all raring to go. So this, I guess I have to edit it and make it best of one. Let's clone this. And let me just tag it. So I guess we change this to standard. Right, I think that's enough of a change. Okay, so let's go back. Why isn't it showing still? Let's see why. Let's look. Okay, so why is... Do I have to remove these? So I did set it up for standard. Okay. Alright, so now it's fine. Now it's fine. So standard ranked, we can now see the deck. There we go. Alright, so we're good to go. We are good to go. So we're just going to look at the opening hand, see if we have one or more Wolf Willow Haven, then proceed to the next one. And we're going to do this 20 times. Alright, so this is a 0. So I'm gonna mark no Wolf Willow Haven is a 0, and Wolf Willow Haven is a 1. So we're not going to mulligan because, as Wizards has said, the best of one algorithm only works on your opening hand. It is no longer used when you mulligan. So there's no point in... We should not take a mulligan there and see if Wolf Willow Haven appears. So also take note that the variance for... Okay, so here we see a Wolf Willow Haven. So this is a 1. We actually see 2. This is actually a very nice opening hand. So basically what I did was I changed... Yeah, let me show that again. So you go to the deck that you want, for example, this one, right? Edit it. So there are two things you need to do. First, change this to standard, from traditional standard to standard. And then after you do that, you're going to see a change in your sideboard. So I just removed the excess sideboard cards because you can only have a 7-card sideboard. And then after I did that, I could already see the deck as a best of one deck. So that's what you can do. Which is, it used to be not like that, right? I mean, I think before, you can play any traditional standard deck in the best of one queue. It's just that you're going to be limited to the 7 cards in your sideboard. Which is probably, like, usually not really relevant. Not even relevant. Right? But they changed it now that you have to remove the excess sideboard cards before it's going to show up. Or at least that's what happened in my case. A bit tedious if you ask me, but eh. So no Wolf Willow Haven here. This is a so-so opening hand. I'll keep this and hope to draw what I need off of these Omen of the Sea. It's keepable. It's a keep, I think. This one is a keep. But let's do that as well. We're here already. I've been playing Sultai Ultimatum for quite a while. It's one of my go-to decks since Vorinclex and Tybalt came out in Kaldheim. I've won a CFB, a Channel Fireball showdown with Sultai Ultimatum. So yeah, I think I know my way around this deck. Okay, so again, we see Wolf Willowhaven here. So this is our 4th run, and yeah. And this is, of course, a keep. I'll probably like keep any hand that has 2 lands and a Wolf Willowhaven. Maybe that's not true. Like if it was 2 lands, a Wolf Willowhaven, and then 3 ultimatums. Probably should mulligan that. If I was on the draw, I'd keep it. Because then I get to see more cards. If I was on the play, yeah, I'd mulligan that on the play. Because you'll see 1 less card. And yeah, you get to ramp to 3 mana, but what if you don't draw land and you're not ramping at all, you're stuck. But on the draw, I may be interested in keeping that because I'm gonna see 1 more card. Alright, so we see another Wolf Willowhaven here. So that's our 5th. Right? And like I said, if we stop here, then actually out of 5 games we've seen Wolf Willowhaven 3 times, which is different from the actual probability of 40%. But of course, there's randomness involved in all of this. Right? So like I said, it will not be exactly 40%. Of course. But the thing is, as you play more games, if we played 100 games instead of 20, it's actually going to come closer and closer to 40%. So no Wolf Willowhaven here. This is our 6th. And also I would blindly, versus a blind opponent, I would still keep that hand because it did have 2 pieces of removal. Maybe that's not correct, but it has 2 pieces of removal and I get to scry. And I'm on the draw. Yeah, I'd keep that. I mean, we have ultimatum in that hand too. So I do have a goal. All I need to do is to scry out any additional ultimatums and maybe get a ramp or 2 in, and then that's good. This one is a mulligan because we can't even deploy these. And again, we don't see a Wolf Willowhaven here. This is clearly a mulligan. You don't have black mana. This is not something you want in your opening hand. This is not something you want in your opening hand. And this is just asking to lose. Alright, so that is our 6th, 1, 2, 3, 4, so 7th. That was our 7th run, so 13 more before we change. And I know this entire thing is going to take about just an hour. I know that because I've done this before. I mean, I've done this before where we concede after seeing our opening hand, and it does take about an hour to do 50 or so runs. And we're only looking to do 40. Alright, we see Wolf Willowhaven in this hand, and this is very much an iffy keep. Oh yeah, no, it is a keep. We do have black mana. So this is a snap keep. Yeah, I thought we didn't have black mana. So black mana, Wolf Willow Haven, this is a perfect hand, except we don't have a payoff, but that's fine. You can draw into that. This is very good. It's a very good opening hand. Okay, 8. And it's good to do these experiments live on stream, because there's no way to cheat, right? You're seeing this unfold before your very eyes. So no Wolf Willow Haven here, but I'm gonna keep. This is a keep, because you're going first, which means you can deploy Cultivate early. But then you have Vorinclex. Yeah, I still probably will keep this because Cultivate early, turn 3. Probably going to Alron's Epiphany. Hope for because the problem is if Vorinclex is not in your deck when you ultimate them, that limits your choices somewhat on what you can get. But I still would keep that because it's still on. You're on the play and you have Cultivate, so that does push you ahead by a lot. All right, so no ultimate, no Wolf Willow Haven here. So this is our 10th, and in 10 runs we got a Wolf Willow Haven in our opening hand exactly 4 times. So, well, that is in keeping with the probability. All right, but we'll see. We'll do 10 more. So another interesting thing here is that the additional step in the best of one shuffler. So there is an additional step, right? So everyone knows that. Well, probably not everyone, but you should know that in best of one, the Magic Arena shuffler has an extra step, and that extra step is the hand selector. So the deck actually shuffled. And then several versions of your opening hand from the same way of shuffling, I think 2 or 3, are constructed. They are materialized. So 2 to 3 different arrangements of your deck, and the hand selector selects the one that is closer to your land to spell ratio. So that is meant to prevent non-games. Basically, it's meant to prevent hands where you have no lands or hands where you have all lands. And that only lives in best of one. Okay, Wolf Willow Haven is here. This is our 12th run. Don't worry, opponent. No need to mulligan. I'll concede. This is, of course, a keep. So there is an additional step in the best of one shuffler. That is true. But you can't really say it's broken because it's there. It's part of best of one as a format online. And if you don't want it, you can always just play best of 3. Right? But it's definitely part and parcel of the best of one format. It's a feature of the best of one format. In limited, it becomes even trickier. So no Wolf Willow Haven here. And this is against a opponent blind. So you don't want Valky. And you need this to come into play tap, come into play tap for you to cultivate. But you do have double cultivate. And no way to cast Tybalt here. But you can cast Polukranos. I would still keep this. Because you can double cultivate. So basically, by the time you get to turn, you can ultimatum. If you do draw an ultimatum, you can deploy it on turn 6, right? No. Turn 3. You're at turn 4. Turn 5. Yeah, turn 6. Plus, you'll have counter backup. She'll be at 8 lands. Of course, it's possible that you just get run over by aggro in that hand. That's very possible. I mean, versus aggro, I'd mulligan that. Alright, Wolf-Willow Haven is here. And this is another very good, well, yeah. On the draw, yeah, it's okay. Yeah, I'll keep that. Alright, so we are where are we at? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So 14. So 6 more. So no Wolf-Willow Haven here. Also, this is a mulligan. I would mulligan that. So you have no interaction on turn 2. You're hoping to draw into your 4th land. If that doesn't happen, you're just dead. So yeah, but going back to what I was saying, so that's how the hand selector works in Best of One, and it doesn't really affect. It has nothing to do with specific cards in your deck. Like it's not supposed to care whether you have a Cultivate in your deck, whether you have a single Vorinclex in your deck. It only cares about the number of lands in your deck and the number of non-lands in your deck. So this one doesn't have Haven either. That's the only thing it cares about. Okay, and some of you may be thinking, what about modal double-faced cards that have a land side, right? So we actually do have a video of that, and of course there is an additional step, even another additional step that's made, but they didn't say what that step was. So if you have modal double-faced cards in your deck, there's an additional step or there's an additional consideration for having those in your deck when doing the hand selector. I do have some results on that on my YouTube, and you can see the distribution of lands in the opening hand when that happens. So no Wolf-Willow Haven here as well. We need 3 more. We need 3 more, and then we will switch. I will have Innistrad in 3 weeks. 3 weeks, right? Hey, Spartan. So we also do not have it here. But yeah, so this is one of the tricky hands. If I had this, I would probably mulligan. Probably mulligan. Because you're going first, right? So you're going to see one fewer card. If you don't draw that third land on time, and even more so, even if you draw it on time, if it's tapped, that's very bad. So you will not be the ramp deck in that situation. How can I have so many wild cards? I haven't been using wild cards. Well, that's not true. I've been using wild cards, but very, very few times. So that's why it kind of accumulates. Right? I'm very conservative when I craft stuff for historic. I am very, very conservative when I craft stuff for historic. So my historic decks are basically, I can make any Jund deck. Any Jund deck I can make. I can make almost any blue-based control deck. I can make almost any blue-based control deck. But I can't make any of the tribal decks. I don't have the tribal cards. Yeah. Also, it comes to a point where you can complete the entire sets just by drafting, so you never get to use your gold. So I plan to use the only use of gold for me are events, particularly and the only event which will have a significant cost are arena opens. I didn't join the last arena open because I wanted to get the gold to 1 million, which is it's at now. Do I usually play? I usually play best of 3, although I do play best of 1 as well. But at this point, I usually just play best of 3. I mean, I usually just, how can you complete a set without? No, I do draft. I do play draft. Sorry, I mean I draft. I draft every time a new set appears. I will draft it until I get about 60 to 70% completion of rares. That's my target. Yeah, it's not possible for you to. I don't think it's possible for you to complete rares without drafting. I mean, it's not possible for you to complete it efficiently without drafting. I mean, the only other way would be to play so many metagame challenges when it becomes available in that like 4-day window and to win so much. But like on my best run, I've only won 100 packs. That's not going to be enough. On my best run, 4-day run of the metagame challenge. And I think this is the last one. So we didn't see Wolf Willow Haven in the past 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, this is 20. So in 20 runs, we only saw Wolf Willow Haven 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. And that's actually less than 40%, right? 6 divided by 20 is actually 30%. But like I said, there's randomness involved here. But you get the idea. It does happen. Yes, I do use my gems for drafting, of course. I use my gems for drafting, so I can actually see that at the beginning of the season for I think the set that came before AFR, I had about 60 something gems, 60,000 something gems, and now I only have 50 something thousand. So this does get depleted. Every time I draft, there's a cost. I mean, every time I do a draft run, there's a cost. I try to keep that cost down by trying to draft as well as I can. But there's always still a cost. There's always a cost. The only exception to that was Ikoria. I think in Ikoria, when they first introduced Premier Draft, I had 0 cost in drafting. I was able to make back everything that I put in drafting. But that was the only time. Do you use money for gems? No, I do not. I mean, I bought 20,000 gems, but this is way back in February of 2019. So that was the only time, aside from the welcome bundle, which I did buy. I think that was $5. So I bought the welcome bundle for $5, and then I bought a 20,000 gem. Gem. What do you call that? A 20,000 gem code, not code, but a 20,000 gem pack for $100. Thank you. I try to be. But those were my only spending. Those were my only spending. And I did make that back when I won 2,000 in the Arena Open, so it's still okay. All right, so we saw that 2-drop only 6 times out of 20. That is the premier 2-drop for Sultai Ultimatum. Now let's change it to something else. What do you want to change it to? Maybe something even off color. Just so, like, it has to be a 2-drop. Something we can't even cast. All that glitters. So it's also an enchantment. Right? This is also an enchantment. But it has no business being in this deck. Right? So it's completely shouldn't be here. But we are going to do that. Right? So now all that glitters is in our deck. And let's see if that does not appear. This is still that deck, right? Let me just make sure. Yeah, so that's all that glitters. You can see it right there. We're going to play another 20 games. Oh, he's up against Diamond 1. He's going to have... So all that glitters is not here. This is a keep, by the way. Alright, so that's the first one. We didn't see all that glitters. Well, let's see, right? Or maybe there is something to this theory. That's why we're testing it. And the thing is that the nice thing about this is that if it happens here, if you do this again, if you repeat it, it should also still happen again and again. Okay, so we don't see it here. All right, let's see. Still no. Oh, this is getting interesting. Again, everything is random. But like if we don't see that card, if we don't see that card in like 10 runs even, eyebrows are going to raise. My own eyebrow is going to raise. What? Alright, there we go. It's like the algorithm was listening to me. Oh my goodness. We better show all that glitter soon. Right? That's the only explanation. They're listening. They're satellites. They're listening to every streamer, no matter how small. All right, so we saw it. That's the first time we saw all that glitters. All right, so now we see two all that glitters. And if those were Wolf Willow Havens, this is actually still a keep. Because you essentially have 5 lands in that, or 5 mana in that hand that you'll be able to get to 7 mana even by turn 5, right? 5. Right. You can get to 7 mana by turn 5. A turn 5 ultimatum. Glorious. Wow, so many diamond ones getting these free wins. Alright, so we don't see it here. Alright, there it is. All that glitters. Alright, so we are still on schedule. We have 43, we're 43 minutes in. I mean, I have been talking a lot. That does eat up some time. We don't see that here. Alright, so we are at 3, 6, 7, 8. This is our 9th. And we have 2 all that glitters. So actually by our 10th run, if we don't see all that glitters here, it will have been the exact same result as in Wolf Willow Haven. Right, this is run number 10 for all that glitters. and we don't see all that glitters. So yeah, it's the exact same result as in the previous one. Let's see if how many times we see all that glitters in the remaining half. So 10 more runs. And yeah, it's good to like these. So we don't see it here. These conspiracy theories, when they're testable, it's good to test them, right? Because we're not denying that the experience happened. Like going on the draw 10 times, that can happen. It's bound to happen to someone actually. That's bound to happen to someone. Or having to mulligan to 3 or to 4, 5 times in a row. That's bound to happen to someone. We're not denying the existence of those situations, of those occurrences, of those events. But they are just the product of randomness. And if you look at the bigger picture, right? If you look at the forest, rather than focus on the trees, what you just experience, you're going to see that there's really nothing out of the ordinary. That's what we're showing here. Or that's what we're trying to show. Or that's what we're testing. Right? And one way or the other, it's going to show up. I mean, we will find the truth. That's why we're testing. So that's 12. So 8 more. All right, nothing here as well. Also, that's a mulligan. It's a very bad hand. You have no interaction, no way to, like you're praying for everything to go right in your draws. That's usually not where you want to be with a hand with a 7-card hand. Like if we have a 7-card hand, you shouldn't be in a situation where you're praying that everything goes well. No, you should know that stuff is going to go well before you keep that 7-card hand. Otherwise, you're just asking to lose. All right, see that here. Another all that glitters. So this is okay. So 6 more. So we are at 14 also at this point. And we've only seen it 5 times. At this point in the previous run, when we had Wolf Willowhaven, we saw it 6 times. So now we saw it 5 times. But we didn't see Wolf Willowhaven in the remaining 6 runs. Let's see if we are going to see some more all that glitters in these last 6 runs. All right, it's not here. All right, last 5. Okay, not here. Four more. Right, and like I said, the wonderful thing about these experiments, you can do this yourselves. You can see for yourself, right? You know, in an R, you can see for yourself. You can add that data to the data we got here, because it is all independent. All right, last 3 runs. Okay, it's not here as well. Last 2 runs. All right, there we go. All that glitters. That makes it the same as when we had it at Wolf Willow Haven, but we have one more run, so maybe we get to see it again. So it will put it one more than the Wolf Willow Haven. That we'll see. This is the last one. Wow, we went up against so many diamond ones, so no all that glitters here. And that's the last one. And so out of 20 runs where we had all that glitters, we saw all that glitters 6 times. Exactly the same number of times that we saw Wolf Willow Haven. So even though we changed the supposed prime 2-drop for this deck with something that's completely worthless and useless to the deck, we still saw that worthless card for this deck the same number of times. Right, so we still saw this the same number of times as we saw Wolf Willow Haven. Right, and like I said, this is an experiment that you can do at home. And I'm doing it at home right now. Right, so you can do it for yourselves. The important thing, of course, is to do enough repetitions. So as you can see here, the theoretical probability of getting at least one Wolf Willow Haven or one all that glitters, or actually basically getting one of each of the whatever card here that you have 4 of in your opening hand, that is 40%. That is 40%. And the more repetitions you do, the closer and closer that empirical proportion is going to approach the theoretical probability. So meaning, if I just did 20 here, but if I did 50, I'll approach 40% some more. If I do 100, I'll get closer and closer to 40%. Right? And that's because that's how probability works. Or that's how the idea of probability and the law of large numbers works. Okay, of course, you cannot predict for a specific run. You cannot predict whether or not you'll see all that glitters or not with 100% accuracy. Furthermore, it's not a guarantee, or it doesn't mean that we only saw all that glitter 6 times in 20 runs, that we expect to see it more in the next 10 runs. That's also not the way it works, because this is memoryless. We don't remember what you're doing. The experiment does not remember how many times you saw all that glitters already, and even if it did, it doesn't matter. There's no dependency between each run. They're independent, right? And that actually adds to these situations where some person will have that unfortunate run of, say, going on the draw 20 times. And until he has played another 1,000 games, he won't be able to shake that 20 times off of his record. Right? There's no guarantee that it's going to even out, because that's not how probabilities work. Right? So it's by level of magnitude. So you played 20 games on the draw, unfortunate, but after you've played 1,000 games, that 20 games won't really matter, and you will see that it's actually a proportion of times that you're going to go on the play or on the draw is actually 50%. But that's after, like, drowning out that unfortunate event with a lot more events. Right? And that's why that's a problem, because our perception, our human perception, is only on the now. Right? It's only on the now. You just went on the draw 20 times. That's all you're thinking about, and that's what's affecting your judgment. That's what's clouding your judgment. So that's the problem. Right? So being able to remove yourself from that and not let your next game affected by it is very important. All right. So anyway, so this has been fun. So we did do the test. We're still under an hour. I've been on stream for about only 58 minutes. So it's really a very quick run. I did want to play Tybalt's Trickery, the throws deck, but should I do that? I can't do that next. Maybe I should do that. Let's see. Well, this one we're just going to, yeah.